Hello, my fellow sensitive people. It is I, Whimsy, your favorite oracle. So tonight I thought I would do something a little different, but it is going to be a remote view. And I'm going to talk you through the remote view experience as I remote view. And if you are a remote viewer, or if you are a heart-centered remote viewer specifically, just let me know some of the experiences that you have. Everyone's brain is different, and everybody finds a system or technique to connect with others that's going to be unique to them. So just find what works. So I'm going to use tonight's remote as an example of a typical experience of remote viewing for me. So in the first part of the meditation, I just get into a relaxed state. I like to be semi-reclining. I'll close my eyes for a couple of minutes and just center myself. Then I will allow white light to come up from the earth to ground me, and it will come up to my head, and then universal love meets it. And then in a state of love, I fill myself up. And then I specifically focus on my third and fourth chakra. The third chakra is the little brain. It's also the intuitive brain. It's just your gut survival instinct is going to come from your third chakra. So if your hair is standing on the back of your head and you feel tension in the gut, that's the brain, the primitive brain, telling you something's wrong, something's not right. So I pay special attention to the third chakra in a meditation. It's the first, particularly when I'm trying to ground myself, I focus on the first, second, and third chakra. You can play with the light. Some people will bring up pink light because of the pink lotus, which is associated with Kuan Yin. Some people will concentrate on green Tara. There are what we call green Tara meditations. Green and pink are definitely the colors we associate with the feminine Buddha or enlightened nature. So that's kind of what I hold. And then I try to imagine that I am sending that universal love to the rest of the world, and that I'm just kind of holding the space as a conduit for that. As imperfect as I am, I do this nightly. And in that state, I then will start usually with the third chakra to begin to just look for energy. Now, energy is intention or thought. So if you have a lot of people thinking about something, if you're trying to get information, that's a certain type of energy. In tonight's remote, I just did the basic global scan. That's where I imagine myself rotating over the earth, looking for streams of energy. Thoughts are energy, trade routes are energy, because any type of trade route or movement, whether it's movement of money, movement of people, roads, bridges, infrastructure, is going to create intent. I've got to get from point A to point B. So every time there are people moving down that highway with intent, that creates something energetically that I can pick up on. It's an energy of a stream, so to speak. Financial transactions can also look to me like streams of energy. For example, when I look at offshore bank accounts, I follow the stream of energy of the people that have those accounts, that are thinking about their money on the offshore accounts and what the offshore accounts are doing and whether or not anybody knows about the offshore accounts. Those are all streams leading them to a particular area that a remote viewer, if they're trained properly, will go in and see. For me, they look like they look like white streams of energy. Literally, that's how my brain sees it. Tell me what you see. It's all allegory. It's whatever your brain is going to construct from what the gut is telling it in order to properly find an area. This is a very primitive form of remote viewing if you're just going to do the third chakra type, that is probably the most conventional way that professional remote viewers, they'll go with their gut. This is also how police officers, detectives are trained to go with your gut. It's a very primitive, very simple technique where you let your third chakra lead you. The more you learn how to use it, the more accurate you're going to become. So in tonight's remote, I followed the energy, I did the global rotation, and I found a lot of energy in an area, and then I closed, you close your eyes, imagine a huge stream of energy. I followed it, let myself be one with that energy. And I found, when I opened my eyes in my mind, I found myself in London. So when I was in London in this, in the remote, because I had followed the energy to London, I realized that there was a lot of tension. I realized there was a lot of tension, and I saw another stream of energy, and this energy was going from London towards the Middle East. There was not a lot of energy or tension going from Britain to the United States, which is interesting, and I'll go back to that. So when I followed the stream of energy and I let myself settle in the new energy or the new location, I found myself in Syria. So then I sat in that energy and I felt what it was to be surrounded by Turkey, the Syrians, the Israelis, the Americans, the Russians, and particularly when I focused on that energy, I felt like everything was suspended. Everything was, it was like somebody had put a hold on it. Like nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew what Putin was going to do. It looked like a very tense situation, and it looked like people were trying to figure a way out of potentially war. And then when I followed the energy further, I went into Putin's basic energy regarding where things are at right now. And it looks like they're at a stalemate in the Middle East. That this is not the best remote because it's kind of upsetting, but Putin is demanding that he be allowed to push forward. He wants his trade. He wants his oil to be pushed out. They want he and China, and it could get to a point where he threatens military action. So then when I left that energy or that remote, that energy, and pulled back to London, I reflected on what I saw. Again, this is how I remote. And I reviewed it a little bit. If Britain is no longer concerned about the United States, it means only one thing, and that is that the intelligence agencies have caught Donald Trump, and he's no longer or will not be for much longer in charge. That's the only explanation for why, when I went into the remote last night, Britain's main focus was Russia and Syria and Iran. And that, and Turkey and the whole craziness over there. So that tells me that we're at a point where if we don't get we need moderators. We need people to come in and negotiate a truce of some type, because the tension is very much escalated. But I also took away from this remote that Trump is not staying in the White House for much longer. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little all over the place. I hope you liked my Kuan-Yin setup. And if you have any questions, more questions about remote viewing, I'm happy to just share more of the experience of what it's like for me when I see a remote. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.